And truth always prevails. Love always prevails. Sometimes it's a rocky road to it, but it always prevails.
Welcome to Federation CJA's 360 podcast, the pulse of Montreal's Jewish community.
From Studio 5, this is episode 58 for July 2026. I'm Glenn J. Nashin. In this episode, Fleeing the Hijab, a Jewish woman's escape from Iran with Dr. Sima Goel. 5 fun minutes in Jewish history with Special Emissary Emmanuel Trau. Now, I'm pleased to welcome back my guest co-host, Samantha Mintz Vineberg, First Vice President of Federation CJA.
Thanks, Glenn. I'm really glad to be back. We'll also hear about our upcoming mega mission to Israel. We have Jordan Stupler's latest news brief. We also have a new segment for you called Unexpected Allies with Hillary Cohen. I'm glad to be back, so let's get started. We'll begin with the first word from Yair.
Welcome to the month of July. I generally try and make these monthly updates as positive as possible, but I do think we need to reflect on what happened last month, as it was a difficult month in the Jewish community, but for the city of Montreal as well, and I think it's important for us to talk about it. As you may recall, early in last month, there was an attempted firebombing at Temple Emmanuel on Sherbrooke, and that was part of what we experienced leading up to, of course, the quite horrific situation that took place in Côte-des-Neiges, where I'm going to call it a terrorist, opened fire publicly and killed a police officer, and unfortunately the life of Moshe Mizrahi was taken as well in that incident. I had the privilege, I guess, or the honor of representing the Montreal Jewish community on earlier this week at the official funeral procession for Mohammed Lin Ben Wadwan, who is the constable who was unfortunately lost his life in the line of duty trying to protect the neighborhood in Côte-des-Neiges. I met the family. I met his girlfriend and his 3-year-old son, and I think it was important for us to represent as a Jewish community, to be there. I was there with my colleague Ita Yudin from CJA and colleagues from Hatzalah and Chaverim as well. And it was quite profound to hear the expression of gratitude that came from all levels of law enforcement and government, whether it's the provincial, the premier, the mayor of Montreal, the RCMP, the SQ and the SPVM, all thanking us for being present and showing solidarity for police, for the loss of life, of course, the first in 24 years that has happened in Montreal. So it was a somber day. We understand that the terrorist attack itself was not really targeting the Jewish community, although the manifesto named Zionists and Jews amongst everyone else that the terrorists hated. It was not targeted at the Jewish community. Unfortunately, Moshe Mizrahi, or Michel Mizrahi, lost his life in really as a hero trying to protect others, and he was brought to final rest in Israel, Migdal HaEmek, and I'm proud to say the Federation was quite instrumental in supporting his son in ensuring that his father had the appropriate arrangements made. Going back to the question of the incident at the temple, the attempted firebombing. We understand that the accused has now been charged with a number of different charges. The judge has put a gag order on the proceedings. There will be future arraignments, and we hope, of course, that the measured, correct justice is brought to bear on what we will consider a hate crime, and we hope the courts will find the same thing. We also know that the firebombing that took place in the West Island back in 2024, the accused has actually admitted that he was paid $15,000 to commit the arson attempts, and we wait once again what the judgment will be. I know that both the local synagogue as well as Federation and CJA have submitted their victim statements in terms of what we believe is the right measure for the judgment. So that's kind of a summary of the month of June in terms of what I'd call difficult, challenging times for both the Montreal Jewish community and Montreal itself. But pushing past that, understanding that summer is here, we have hundreds of kids at summer camps having the time of their lives. Just recently, our community security network partnered with the SQ to tour the summer camps to make sure that there's a valid and strong connection between police services and our camps in the Laurentians, to make sure that they have a contact person, to make sure that the SQ is aware of where these camps were and exactly the parameters. So I think that's part of our role as a federation in terms of providing comfort and security to our community. It also strikes me that during the 5 or 6 hours of the attack back in June, in terms of the terrorist attack, I think it's important to name the fact that our crisis management manual, or what we've been working on, unfortunately, for so long in terms of crisis management, worked. And I think it's important to name that we were able to, in a calm and collective way, ensure that lockdown was taking place throughout the relevant parts of the city. Communication with community members, with institutions was strong and ongoing. And at the end of the day, we also had over 40 community security volunteers who, towards the end of the day, when we knew the lockdown was going to be lifted, were dispersed throughout the schools to make sure the orderly dismissal of students in the city, as parents were panicked to pick up their kids. So the crisis preparedness that we have been working on, unfortunately, for months now, did work. We did take some lessons from it, and we will, of course, learn to improve and get better, unfortunately, hopefully to never be used again. But it's important to name the fact that is part of the muscle memory that we're developing here as an organization, something that I think in 2019 none of us would have thought would come to bear. And as summer camps are flourishing throughout the Laurentians, I also would be remiss not to name the fact that we have over 200 high school teens in Israel right now on different programs, whether NCSY, BBYO, Olami, but really Yachad, which is a program sponsored by the CSUQ, supported through our Go Teen Israel funding, the Dolphin Teen Fellows, and access grants supporting kids going to Israel, have a total of 130 young adults, teens on the ground in Israel for 3 weeks. And I think it's an incredible testament to our community, to a community that continues to travel to Israel to learn, to be educated about our relationship with Israel through our young adults, through our teens. And I think that's really a wonderful part of the summer that's taking place right now. And as we enter the deep months of summer, as the end of July and August come about, we do recognize that this is campaign time as we go speak to our donors to once again raise the money so that we can do this all over again, to make sure that our community is safe, that every one of you feels that you're part of feel that you're covered by this umbrella called Federation CJA that is taking care of you, whether you want to go to Israel, whether you're a senior citizen, whether you're a Holocaust survivor, someone who requires support in housing or food, education, summer camp, or just a member of the community that feels insecure, knowing that Federation CJA is fighting the fight against the normalization of anti-Semitism, creating a more resilient community, and of course, securing our community to make sure that all of our community members feel safe, proud, and validated living in Montreal. I wish you a good rest of your summer, a peaceful rest of your summer. We hope for and pray for only good news from Israel and the Middle East, and I look forward to speaking with you in August.
Changemakers, Montreal Jewish Stories That Inspire is a special edition of the Federation CJA 360 podcast. This series celebrates the leaders and visionaries shaping our community. Our first episode spotlights the Samuel Brofman Medal recipients, Senator Mark Goel and Federation CJA past chairman David Cape. Our next episode drops later this summer and features an extraordinary leader in community, business, and philanthropy, Jonathan Weiner. Join us for stories that will inspire your next step in Jewish community life.
Sam, welcome back. Great to have you on the podcast once again. It's summer, finally, in Montreal. It's camp season. Lots of kids off to camp. You know, there's 4 camps that are sponsored by Federation CJA.
Yes.
Lots of kids having an immersive Jewish social experience.
Yes, it's so important for them to have these experiences, to be with their friends, to be away from their screens, to have that immersive Jewish experience, like you said. I think that this is really, we need this more than ever now.
And many kids are going back to Israel. We've had hiccups from COVID and from war, etc., but some trips are back, some are not, but things are starting to return, and that's great for the kids as well.
Absolutely. We need to get them there and as many of them back as soon as they can get there.
And speaking of Israel, big trip coming up for Federation next year.
I can't wait, Glenn. Are you going?
Well, we'll see who's going, but hundreds and hundreds will. It's the Mega Mission 2027. We're going to talk more about it on this episode.
Yes, it's going to be great. A once-in-a-lifetime experience. And we're hoping that the community comes out to be part of it.
And let's talk about what there is to do in Jewish Montreal all summer long. We tend to do a lot of things that aren't necessarily immersive Jewish things in Montreal, but there are a lot of things to do.
Absolutely. Just walking around the streets of Saint Laurent, I think we could find so many fun Jewish institutions to stop for a quick nosh at and enjoy. And
in fact, the Museum of Jewish Montreal gives several different tours. I've done 1 or 2 of them. One's called Beyond the Bagel. I know that not all the restaurants are kosher, but it is quite an interesting Jewish tour.
Yes,
that's
I
for
always
sure.
recommend it to my friends when they come to Montreal to check it out. They also have literary tours and mural tours, so it's really a great opportunity to see a bit of Montreal history.
Yeah, my favorite stop was Chesky's. I won't lie. The cheese crown, excellent, amazing.
I'm a Russian babka fan myself.
Oh,
so.
there we go. Well, we can compare notes maybe on air at another time. The Museum of Jewish Montreal is also offering an 8-week Yiddish class this summer. How's your Yiddish?
My Yiddish, I went to Herzliya, so my Yiddish is non-existent.
Okay, so
but my
that's
Hebrew is pretty good.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's great. There's lots of kosher eateries throughout Montreal. In fact, there's a new kosher food court that's opening in Decari Square.
Yeah, I can't wait to check it out.
And most people know that in the Cavendish Mall, also known as the Cavan Yiddish Mall, most of the food places are kosher there as well. So that's kind of cool for tourists or to become a tourist in your own city.
And at Royal Mount also there's a new kosher restaurant that opened recently, so you could sit outside and have kosher food and do some shopping.
So you could be a Jewish culinary tourist, beyond the bagel, smoked meat, the babka we talked about. There's just so much. In the Laurentians, of course, we talked about this last year, there's Shabbat. So that's Shabbat on the boat. It happens on many lakes. We did an episode on that last year. So if you're up in the Laurentians, find out about it on Shabbos. And what a way to get a challah whipped at you across the lake into your boat.
For sure, and good music and good fun and good friends as well.
It's really cool. I also read that Chabad has set up in Trois-Rivières, so it's kind of nice to be able to travel elsewhere.
For sure.
In the province, and if you're headed towards Trois-Rivières and it happens to be Shabbos, then it's worth checking it out.
Absolutely, why not?
And seeing what they do there. But there's lots, and you just have to look at the community calendar, whether it's the Jewish Public Library or the Y, the Siegel Center, and even Cummings Center has many different events. I noticed they even do theater outings to the Hudson Theater and beyond. So there are a lot of things to do in Montreal, in Jewish Montreal throughout the summer.
For sure. I can't wait to be part of it and get the summer season started.
So let's have a great summer to all of our viewers and listeners.
Absolutely.
You too.
A happy and healthy and safe summer for everybody.
Exactly. And let's get on to the podcast.
Looking forward, Glenn.
Today we're joined by Dr. Sima Goel, an accomplished chiropractor and certified wellness practitioner who has spent more than 30 years caring for her patients here in Montreal. But beyond her professional achievements, Sima has a deeply personal story to share.
In her memoir, Fleeing the Hijab, A Jewish Woman's Escape from Iran, she reflects on her upbringing in Shiraz and her courageous journey to freedom, an experience that has shaped both her life and her perspective. Today, we're going to focus on that journey, the story behind the book, and the experiences that continues to resonate with audiences.
Welcome to the podcast, Sima. We're learning a lot about Iran over the last few years in the news, protests, this year's items about oppression and violent crackdowns upon its citizens. And I was curious to learn more about firsthand stories of what was going on. I decided to pick up your book a couple of months ago, and I'm going to admit to you now and to our listeners and viewers, I couldn't put it down. I was mesmerized by your story. Maybe just give our viewers and listeners a little bit of a background about the story itself, about your story.
Well, I've been living in Iran. I used to live in Iran till 1982. My grandparents were living in there for as long as I can go back to my heritage on both sides. My mom was from a family of 12, and so did my father, was from a family of 12. I had a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles, and life was really good. We had huge, Shiraz was one of the 3 top Jewish community after Isfahan and Tehran, and we were very closely knitted. Things started to change slowly, but progressively in 1977, 1978. The 1978 in August, there was a big crackdown, a big fire that happened in Cinema Rex in southern Iran. They closed the door, the radicals, of the movie theater, and everybody that was there, they turned to ashes. That was, I remember it as if it was yesterday. It was a very, very difficult moment to digest. Why would anybody do such a thing? And things got progressively worse over time. And then they were coming to Baha'is neighborhood. Baha'is are a big minority in Iran, and burning their homes. And I thought, if they come for Baha'is, what stops them to come for the Jews? And adults were all scared, and there was no media that we could listen to. And I went to the dictionary to find out. They were claiming, the Islamic group claimed that they were doing this.
And how old were you around then?
15. Mm-hmm. And I found out that the name Muhammad means peace and tolerance. At the time, I was going to the private school for girls, and one of my friends who was Baha'i was very stressed out over these fires. And I said, let's go outside during the recess, we play volleyball. As we were playing volleyball, one of our other friends, whose father was part of the Shah's regime in the military, shouted, too bad they didn't burn your house. They should have burned your house too. And since I had already checked to see what the name of the prophet meant, and I said, do you know what your prophet's name means? And she didn't know. I said, it's peace and tolerance. What is peace and tolerance to burning homes of innocent people? She ran to the principal. I got suspended. She didn't get reprimanded. So that was the beginning of the end for me in Iran. And then as the school, we graduated from that school, where I was transferred to a school that had the highest amount of religious fanatics. And every day that I went to school, they were checking my knapsack not for gun, for the real gun, which is freedom of thoughts. And and one day my best friend didn't come to school for 3-4 days or more, and nobody knew what happened to her. And one evening, somebody knocked at our door and asked to speak privately with my mother. This is 1981 right now. And she spoke with my mother, and then my mother came in and said, you have to leave the house because your name is in the blacklist. What is a blacklist meant? And by the way, when there was the revolution happening in Iran, 1978, everybody was saying long live freedom. Everybody. What I didn't know, there were people beside me shouting "Long live freedom" that were all covered up. I wasn't covered up. Once the government changed, we lost the little freedom that we had about how we want our face.
And the government change, you're talking about going from the Shah to the Ayatollah.
To the Ayatollah. And slowly things got worse. Everybody had to cover up, whether you were Muslim or not. That's why I named my book Fleeing the Hijab, because over the years that I was in Canada and I was telling people that we had to dress up like everybody else there, they said, but that's impossible. No, that's possible. When they are majority, that is the rule of the law. When they're minority, they change. They want all the rules. So everything to their favor. So they came, then my friend got disappeared. I never saw my friend, and I left the house at 16. And my mother didn't know where I was. And the blacklist meant that they can arrest you, they can rape you. One of the things that they love to do in the current government, they believe that if you're virgin, you're going to go to heaven. So they rape the prisoners before they kill them or execute them. They don't even waste the bullet. They hang them on the street. And we had huge uprising in January. 40,000 people got massacred in 2 days. These are young kids.
So why do you think that with everything going on in social media, that we should have access to this information in a way that we didn't?
There is no internet in Iran right now, since January. They shut the internet. They can do everything they want to do in cold blood. Nobody knows. 350,000 people were tortured. The people who were injured, and they would aim for the eye to blind people, those who didn't get killed. And people who get injured, they couldn't go to the hospital because in the hospital they were waiting to kill them. So this is a horrifying thing right now that I heard, and it's awful. Somebody who was working in ER wrote on Telegram that, come to my house and I will help you stitch you up. They came to her house. They killed her in front of her husband. They took her dead body away and raped her and showed the video of that, sent the video of that to all her contacts. There's no humanity there.
It almost sounds like a blur between 1978 and 2026.
It got worse.
It's almost the same story.
It's the same thing, except now the youth are not buying this.
Right. So why do you think that there's not that outrage? Like, you lived this, you've seen it happen in the 70s, you're watching it happen again.
We can't have diplomacy with people who don't respect democracy. And they came out to the streets. They just said, we want freedom. And they were met with bullets. We cannot have discussion with somebody who doesn't have the same value. For them, they think they are the doctor, they have the key to the heaven, and everybody else who doesn't believe that their beliefs are infidels. And that is the current problem right now in Iran. Iranians are smart. We had the oldest history in all the cultures, 2,500 years. Iranians were Zoroastrians. Iranians had respect for each other. Iranians are closely knit. The law of, like, the constitution was first introduced in Iran. The mathematics was from Persia. The history goes way back, and even the presence of Islam. And when they come, they become majority, and then everybody else has to abide by their rules. And that's a sad part.
The Persian Jewish community goes back well over 2,000
That's
years.
Right, 2,500 years.
2,500
King
years.
Cyrus, yes.
And your family
lived there forever.
Forever, in Shiraz and elsewhere. What was it like growing up as a young girl in Shiraz from a Jewish community perspective?
Well, it was wonderful during the Shah for the Jews. They have Jews raised to become professionals and to work in sectors that they weren't allowed to do before. But there was still anti-Semitism. I remember when I was 6 years old, I went to play with a girl in the park, and her mother asked me, "What's your name?" And I told my name. "What's your last name?" And when I said Goel, she just spit at me and took her kids away from us. And najest means impure, dirty. But secular people there, they were nice. We had lots of friends that we went to their houses. They came to our houses, many of my friends there and even now. But it's a political government that is trying to indoctrinate, not trying, they are indoctrinating. If you do not believe, if you not fear them and do one misstep, that's execution at its worst shape.
So how old were you exactly when you came to Montreal?
I was 16 when I left the house, and then I had nowhere to stay, and I came back home at 17 and stayed there for a while, and then my mom came to me and says, "This is not the life you're living." I couldn't go to school, I couldn't do anything, and I loved school, and she says, "Get out. You might die, you might live, but this is not a life." Had I been there, I would have been dead long time ago. And then I got smuggled out. And that night that I got smuggled out, it was so scary that I promised myself one day I'm going to write the book. And I'm going to say the testaments to what I had lived through. And then I shared my story at the event. And everybody said
at the Federation
at the
event,
Federation and at the choices, and everybody said you have to write the story. So I started writing. I went to the Google to check to see how long what is a book entitled. They said 70,000 words becomes a book. So I thought if I write 5,000 words every week, by 6 months it's done. 6 months later it's in every bookshelf everywhere across the globe. It wasn't like that. And I gave my book for my son to read. At the time he was 11 years old. I said, "Read the whole thing. I can't see the typo." It took 5 years to write the book and lots of editing. And I gave it to him to get the typos taken care of. And the first thing he said, "You are a big mouth." I said, "Keep on reading." And then he said, "Oh, Mom, you read the books that I am reading now." I said, "Remember you told me I was a big mouth? I risked my life to come here so you can read the books you're reading." And after he finished it, he said, we were going to CrossFit together at the gym at the time, they couldn't drive. And he said, "I love my country, I love my city, I love my family, I learned so much at school." And at the end he says, "I'm not sure if this is the influence of your book."
Wow.
So I know our youth have been through a lot in the last 5-6 years, in addition to everybody's stress of being youth. But I urge them to read this book, not because I'm so special, because they are special. Because we are, even at our worst day right now, we are still living the best day of our lives. We are living a life that people in Iran are willing to go in front of a bullet for the hope that there will be a free tomorrow. And they can choose the way they want to dress. They can choose the way they want to go to school. They can choose what they like and they don't like. And nobody forces their opinion on them. And freedom to me is really the most important commodity in the world, to choose, to make your own choices and live by the consequence of your choices. When I was in Geneva on a vacation, and I turned on the TV, and it was something about government. When government is scared of their people, that's where democracy is. In tyranny, people are afraid of their government, and that's what's happening in Iran.
I would tend to agree with your son, but I would do it in more polite terms, because clearly you had chutzpah from a very young age. Mm-hmm. To me, it sounds you got it a bit from your mother and a bit from your father, maybe more from your mom, I'm not sure. But you had no problem at the age of 15, 16, 17, and perhaps earlier to speak your mind. You knew you were going against the current. You knew that you were risking yourself. And you said in your book, you're doing it not just for you, you're doing it for your country, for your people, for your community, for your family.
Yes. I love reading book, and I think I said my book will be a contribution to all the books that I love reading. And this is the small gift I can give back.
You know, we have, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you know, we have today, you know, you said all the young people should read the book, but we know that often young people don't read books and they want everything in a 30-second clip that they can absorb quickly on Instagram. So what would your 30-second elevator pitch clip message be to young people who are maybe listening to this podcast?
Make your own choices. Learn to learn. From my experience, don't just believe what you hear. Know who is telling the message and what is their agenda. And make sure you stay true to your values, to your family values, to the Jewish identity. We've survived from the beginning of times, and we will survive this crisis too. But the point is, don't lose your family, because those are the people that love you. Those are the people that want the best for you. And your community. Together we're stronger. Together we can overcome everything. And the people who want, they say divide and conquer, they want us divided. And if we have one thing for us, is that we are, as a community, hold each other tight.
Absolutely.
And we go through the storm.
When I read about the night of your escape, and then the months that followed in Pakistan with your sisters, with strangers, with smugglers, you recount the story in such vivid detail. It was an immersive experience. It was like the reader, like myself, was with you at that moment. That must have been painful to recount and to tell that again.
Actually, the hardest part, writing the book was cathartic. But the hardest part was when I was asked to speak at choices for my event. The entire month before I presented, the entire month I cried. I had no idea how much I was hurting. Like I opened the vault to go in and to look at it. And when I wrote the book, I didn't, and as I mentioned in one section of the book, I'm not writing the book to ask for your pity and, oh, poor thing. That wasn't the reason I wrote the book. If one thing was different, I wouldn't be sitting here telling the story. I'm grateful for everything happened. And one more thing, at every crossroad, an angel came and led me through. And Federation was one of them too.
In reading the book, I got the sense that if you could go through what you went through at all these steps, from when you were 6 years old in that playground to 15, 16, dealing with the change of regime and then finally fleeing, if you can overcome that, you can do anything. That's what I got from it. And I've told that to many, many people I've spoken to and to my family in the last month or so. Whatever it is in your life, in their life, that they choose to do, that they succeed, it pales in comparison to what you went through. But everyone goes through something cathartic in their life that gives them hope.
Absolutely.
And gives them a chance and gives them resilience to do something
It's a
greater.
life, I say we are all part of life university. Seriously.
True.
It's a lot of peaks and valleys. And as long as you say something good will come out of this. In a very hard time, I don't want to mention the story, but very hard, and you read it in the book, toward the end. That was a very hard thing that happened in our family. And I was crying. It was hard. And I said, let something good come out of it. And that's why that led me to my wellness certification, because I wanted to find out what I can do to stay healthy. And I'm giving that as a gift to people around me. We are not victim of circumstances. We are victor. And one of my favorite quotes from all the writers is Dr. Viktor Frankl. that he was interviewed and they told him, how did you survive Holocaust? He said, during the Holocaust, they took everything away from me. But they could not take my freedom to choose. Between a stimuli and response is your freedom to choose. What are you choosing? Are you choosing to be a victim? Or are you choosing to say, oh, there's a lesson to be learned in this. How can I learn the lesson and use it to my advantage?
Sima, before we close up this segment, you wrote your book over a decade ago, 12, 13 years ago. How do you feel that it resonates? You wrote a story from decades ago, you wrote it 1 decade ago, and here we are in 2026 and we're seeing the same kind of things going on. How do you feel your story resonates with today's geopolitical situation?
It's the same story. It's just that I was an early adopter. I was, when you look at the bell curve, there is an outlier on either side. I saw earlier what was going on. But what I saw, and that's everywhere in politics, you see it, everywhere in the world, in science, there are always outliers. There are some people that can see the trouble before the trouble comes to them. So it's the same story. It's just that now more and more people are in that country and they need to be supported. They need us to say, I see you, I hear you, and there is a price for freedom to be paid, and they will get through it. I know, I'm certain that, and confident that Iranians will be, they're hostage to the government now, and there is a freedom on its way.
I hope that you're right.
I know I am. Look, throughout the history, which tyrant is still alive?
Oh, you're right.
Because a lot of times we give them too much power. They are more fearful than us. And if they didn't have their guns, they have nothing. And truth always prevails. Love always prevails. Sometimes it's a rocky road to it, but it always prevails.
Sima, I hope your words resonate far and wide. Beyond woman, life, freedom, it's freedom for everybody, wherever they are, who may be oppressed. But in particular, we're talking about your home country or place of origin.
When I came to Canada, I was so grateful that I found a free land that embraced me. I did not want to change the rules here to make me comfortable. I was ready to embrace this country and saying thank you. And that is what I want people to realize. You come to this country, they embrace you. Welcome the new. Let go of the shedding the skin of the old. Keep what is good from the past, but embrace this and make this new home.
Fantastic. Such a good lesson for everybody.
Sima, it's an honor to meet you. Thank you so much. I hope people will buy your book and read your book.
The book is on Amazon. It's also on Kindle, and Bibliophile has it too. And anybody who can contact me as well if they want me to autograph them.
And it's called Fleeing the Hijab, a Jewish woman's escape from Iran.
Yes.
Marvelous.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome back to Emmanuel Trau for 5 fun minutes in Jewish history.
As a reminder, Emmanuel serves as the Shaliach Hasbara, the Israel emissary educator for Federation CJA. In this role, he works to educate the community about Israel. He conducts school visits and fights misinformation.
Here's Emmanuel now with the Great Christmas Escape, how Israel stole its own ships.
Thank you, Samantha and Glenn. As you said, this is an incredible story. I'll try, as always, I try to connect it to Montreal. I couldn't find a lot of connections here, but I found one. Montreal is a famous port city. You guys know ships. You know the water. So today is a story about ships and water. Today's story is about 5 Israeli missile boats that pulled off a daring escape from a French harbor on Christmas Eve. This story sounds like a mix between Ocean's 11 and a Hollywood spy movie. It involves fake companies, a missing Norwegian millionaire, and 5 military ships escaping in the middle of a massive winter storm. The year was 1969. But to understand why this matters, you have to understand the desperate situation back home. Israel completely depended on these ships. Believe me, at the time our Israeli Navy was almost non-existent. We were defending our massive Mediterranean coastline with old, outdated vessels left over from World War II. Just 2 years earlier, an Egyptian missile boat had sunk our main flagship, the Eilat boat, killing 47 of our sailors. Our navy was completely exposed, and these advanced new boats from France were the only thing that could save us. We had purchased 12 of these modern naval vessels from a shipyard in Cherbourg, France. We paid them in full, but after the 6-day war, the French government imposed a total arms embargo, which is a fancy word for we don't sell you any more weapons. 7 of these ships were already delivered before, but the final 5 of our boats were frozen in the French port, completely blocked from leaving. So the Israelis said in a very Israeli way, "You say no, we will show you." They decided to use the back door and pulled off a brilliant corporate scam. They created a fake shell company called Starboat and pretended to be a Norwegian oil drilling firm that wanted to buy the boats for civilian use. They even recruited a real Norwegian millionaire to sign the papers. They chose Christmas Eve for the escape, and the behind-the-scenes tactics were pure Israeli chutzpah. The noise trick. To make sure the French townspeople wouldn't get suspicious of the loud engine noise on the night of the escape, the Israeli crews started their engines at the exact same time every night for weeks. At first, the neighbors complained, but by Christmas Eve, they were so used to the routine that they just ignored it and stayed asleep. The grocery trick. To keep up appearances, the Israeli sailors went grocery shopping in town every single day, buying fresh baguette and milk right up until the afternoon of the escape, making it look like they were just planning a quiet holiday dinner. The disappearing millionaire. When the French authorities finally realized the ships were missing on Christmas morning and tried to call the Norwegian buyer, he was conveniently unreachable on a skiing trip in the mountains. This reminds me a little bit of the Exodus. We have here Jews trying to escape in the middle of the night while the others are distracted. And to make it even more comparable, we have the raging Red Sea where the Israelites had to cross. And here we have the brave sailors trying to cross the Atlantic Ocean on a 10-meter waves storm. The dramatic finale shares the same narrative echo. Just as biblical forces chased the Jews to the water's edge, the furious French defense minister ordered his military to intercept, hunt down, and bomb our ships out of the water. But this is where the story finds its true hero, the French General Philibert Fourquois, the chief of staff of the French armed forces. The general stood up to his own government with immense moral courage. He flatly refused to order the attack, arguing that launching a military strike against an unarmed civilian-flagged vessel in international waters was a violation of international law. He chose honor over political pressure, deliberately stalling the chain of command and running out the clock until our ships were safely out of reach of the French Air Force. By sunrise, the boats were safely on their way home to Haifa. They didn't just escape, they completely rebuilt our navy and secured the borders of Israel. Thanks to Jewish bravery, brilliant strategy, and the profound decency of a French general who chose to do what was right. It proves that where there's a Jewish will, there's a way, especially if it's Christmas Eve and everyone else is sitting down to enjoy their foie gras while the ships are far gone. Thank you.
Our community continues to show up for Israel with unwavering support. We have deep pride, we have a shared sense of connection, and in that spirit, there's something really exciting coming about for 2027. It's the Montreal Mega Mission.
One community, one heart, one journey. From May 23rd to the 31st next year in 2027, hundreds of community members will come together in Israel for a truly unique experience filled with meaningful encounters, rare access, and unforgettable shared moment. Registration is officially open and the excitement is already building. To help set the stage, we've got an exclusive recording from our 4 dedicated co-chairs, Gerard Abitbol, David Amiel, Megan Weinstein-Lambert, and Marnie Zygmunt-Stern, who give us a closer look at what will make this journey so special.
And in this segment, we'll hear directly from all of them, sharing their vision, their passion, and why this mission matters right now. So here are some of the highlights for the Montreal Mega Mission 2027 leadership team.
And thank you so much for joining us for this very first official gathering of the 2027 Montreal Mega Mission. Un grand merci à tout le monde d'être là pour ce tout premier rassemblement officiel de la Mega Mission. Before we begin, we'd like to introduce ourselves. We're honored to be the leadership team helping bring this journey to life. My name is David Amiel, and I am one of the 4 co-chairs for the mission to Israel.
I am Gerard Abitbol.
Hi, I'm Megan Weinstein-Lambert.
Hi, I'm Marnie Zygmunt-Stern.
And now for the co-chairs of our pre-mission to Poland.
Hi, I'm Mark Hornstein.
Hi, and I'm Cheryl Miller-Odeski.
Let's cue up that video.
Welcome to Mega Mission. Check-in's right that way.
When you go on a trip, it could be anywhere and it could be for any purpose. But when you go on a journey, you're actually returning back to a part of yourself that you will discover when you make that journey far, far away.
Being at the wall, Erev Shabbat, there are no words. It was wonderful.
You hear the stories, but until you're here, you don't realize how it impacts you.
This by far was the craziest event I've ever been to in my life. I had anticipation of what I might expect, and everything that I thought I might expect, it's even more.
You haven't seen anything yet.
The Mega Mission is much more than a trip. It is a powerful representation of who we are as a community and what we can achieve when we move forward together. It's an opportunity to reconnect to Israel, to one another, and to our shared purpose as Montrealers and as Jews. Together we will experience moments that are meaningful, emotional, inspiring, and unforgettable. We will see firsthand the impact of our community's generosity, strengthen relationships with one another, and return home with a renewed sense of pride and connection.
Before we get started on what's in store for the trip to Israel, we first wanted to highlight the option of traveling to Poland on our pre-mission, which will offer incredibly meaningful and emotional experience. Together, we will explore Jewish life before the war. We'll walk through Old Warsaw and Krakow. We'll learn about the rise of anti-Semitism and the destruction of Jewish communities. And of course, we'll visit historic sites like Auschwitz-Birkenau and Majdanek. You will be able to experience the highs and lows of traveling through Poland, from moments of profound reflection and heartbreak to moments of resilience, memory, and Jewish continuity. We will share Shabbat together in Krakow, stand where history unfolded, and witness the enduring strength of Jewish life and identity. And what makes this experience especially powerful will be the opportunity to travel alongside with survivors and hear their very powerful stories.
So the Israel part of the mission has been designed to be dynamic, immersive, and deeply personal. Whether this is your first time in Israel, your 10th visit, or you are a repeat mega mission participant, this experience will feel fresh, it will feel meaningful and unique. Participants will spend 4 nights in Tel Aviv and 3 nights in Jerusalem, including a beautiful Shabbat together in Jerusalem. We will travel all across the country, from the south, where we will witness the impact of Montreal's generosity and have a meaningful visit at the Nova Festival Memorial Site, to the north, where we'll experience volunteering opportunities, wineries, breathtaking landscapes, and understanding the geopolitical complexities. From the energy of Tel Aviv to the spirit of Jerusalem, each day of the mega mission blends reflection, connection, and discovery, creating a journey that is as meaningful as it is unforgettable. There will be opportunity to visit historical landmarks, experience the hustle and bustle of Israeli markets, hear from keynote speakers, and so much in between. One of the most exciting aspects of this mission is the opportunity for you to personalize it. Participants will have access to more than 20 specialty tracks based on their interests, everything from cooking to Startup Nation, fashion, high-tech, medical, surfing, biking, real estate, and many more. On this day, you will not be traveling with your bus, but rather with people who all chose the same personalized track as you.
Some packages offer a direct charter flight from Montreal, departing on Sunday, May 23rd, 2027, landing in Israel the next day on May 24th, and returning to Montreal on May 31st.
You building this experience together as a community. The Mega Mission team is here to support you every step of the way, and we truly cannot wait to share this journey with all of you. There is tremendous excitement ahead, incredible moments ahead, and we know this mission will leave a lasting impact on every single participant.
Here's our community reporter, Jordan Stupler, with the latest news brief.
Thanks, Samantha. We may be coming up on the heart of the summer season here at Federation CJA, but that hasn't slowed down community happenings and events in and around the city in the slightest. So let's dive right in, shall we? So first up, we recently paid tribute to some of our community's most exceptional leaders and visionaries as part of the Jewish Leadership Recognition Awards. This event used to be held every year, but this latest ceremony was actually the first one held in 5 years. So as you can imagine, there was no shortage of worthy recipients to recognize and to honor. In fact, there were 21 individuals and organizations who were honored as part of the ceremony. Really great to see everyone come together. There were cardboard cutouts of the winners' faces, which were waved about by their friends and families. Also was a chance to pay tribute to the outgoing campaign cabinet led by Heather Adelson. Videos were shown highlighting their accomplishments and how they kind of guided this community through some challenging moments over the last few years. In the interest of time, we won't mention all of the 21 winners by name here, but you can visit our website to learn more about each of them. And it goes without saying, Yasher Koach to all the recipients on all the great work they've done and continue to do for our community. Shifting gears, Federation CJA's Jewish Chamber of Commerce also recently hosted 60-plus community members at Richter for their Business of Apparel event with Montreal-born entrepreneur and the founder of Psycho Bunny, Alan Brandman. He shared some valuable insights on entrepreneurship, leadership, and how he really built his company from a local passion project into a household name that's known all over the world. Since we're on the business side of things, quick shout out to Pro Montreal entrepreneurs who recently launched the PME Hub, this new platform which aims to engage with the next generation of Jewish leaders through programs, mentorship, and community connection, will rightfully be chaired by the founders of PME some 25 years ago, Jimmy Alexander and Stephen Bronfman. Meanwhile, Jody Zimmerman, Frank Heel, and Michael Ellman are the new co-chairs of the PME Fund. So congratulations to both of them on this new role. And of course to Stephen and Jimmy for their outgoing dedication to the cause. Now, when you think of summer here at Federation CJA, you often associate it with Shabbat in the parks. The yearly initiative returned first in Hampstead, where more than 400 people gathered for a kickoff summer barbecue. And most recently, Federation CJA in the West Island held their Shabbat in the parking lot. There were activities for kids, music, arts and crafts, and so much more. And if you missed out, not to worry, young families are invited back to the West Island for what they're calling Shabbat Fam Jam. That's on July 17th. Russian-speaking Jews, or RSJ as they're known around here, had a busy few weeks as well. First with its Rising Stars Teen Zionist Initiative graduation. Over the past year, Russian-speaking Jewish teens connected with their identity, Zionism, and Israel through volunteering, lessons on Jewish history, and much more. In addition, they held a B'nai Mitzvot ceremony to celebrate the RSJ, now I guess men and women, who completed a year-long learning journey. So Mazal Tov to all the participants and their families. Finally, before we wrap up, we just want to acknowledge a few of our own who recently were bestowed with quite the prestigious honors. Federation CJA's Director of Immersive Experiences and Missions and one-time guest co-host on this very podcast, Stephen Rabinovich, was honored by Myra's Kids Foundation with a Hug Award at their Ignite Gala on May 20th. The foundation helps provide safe spaces for children and teens grieving the loss of a loved one. Stephen has been a supporter from the very beginning, showing up for these children, their families, and the community as a whole. So what a richly deserved honor, and Yasher Koach to Stephen. Our board chair, Patrick Asimony, along with his wife Vanessa, received the Chabad Care Leadership of Care Award by the Association des Médecins Juifs du Québec at their first ever Quebec Healthcare Gala. The award was in recognition of their work in strengthening community-based care initiatives across Montreal. So, kol hakavod to both Patrick and Vanessa for this accomplishment. And lastly, Federation CJA received the Darcy McGee National Assembly Citizenship Medal on June 18th. The award was presented to our president and CEO, Yair Slack, by MNA Elizabeth Prass in recognition of the organization's contribution to Quebec society and to community life. Let's hear from Yair as he accepted the medal on behalf of Federation.
I'm very privileged to represent an organization that truly believes that its mandate is to take care of the entire Jewish community. Stand here representing volunteers and professionals who work passionately every day to make sure that that mandate is fulfilled. And I think that after October 7th, that mandate has become ever more present, unfortunately, for the Jewish community in Montreal.
And there you have it, the community happenings from in and around the city for the months of May and June.
Welcome to a new edition of our podcast, Unexpected Allies.
Here's our content creator, Hillary Cohn, with Giuseppe Sacchetti.
Support doesn't always come from where you expect it to. Our new segment, Unexpected Allies, highlights the voices standing beside the Jewish community, sometimes from the most surprising places. Today, I'm joined by Giuseppe Sacchetti, founder of G Pizza, who's built a name for himself in Montreal through an incredible commitment to quality, craft, and local ingredients. But beyond the restaurant world, Giuseppe has also become a meaningful part of the Jewish community here, showing up, getting involved, and building real connections through Federation and beyond. So welcome, Giuseppe.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just get started and have a conversation about it. So I feel like people, when they meet you, or I mean, when I first met you, I was like, you're not Jewish? And you are so much more in tune and involved with the Jewish community, I find, than I was when I first met you. So how did that get started? And you want to tell me a bit about that?
Involved. It's a matter of, I wouldn't say
influenced?
Definitely feel a need to, listen, a lot of my friends are Jewish and everyone needs love. So we need to gravitate towards people that need love. So that's why. And it's something that resounds within me. You know, there's a whole aspect of the Jewish soul, or the Neshama Yehudi, if we want to get into it. And that resounded with me. So that's what speaks to me. And that's what brings up this
There's Jewish.
This need to this gravitational pull towards this community.
And so you're such an ally, I find, to the Jewish community. What does allyship mean to you?
It's a big word, allyship. Are you an ally? What are you doing to be an ally? What makes you an ally? You know what makes a person an ally? Just being there when someone needs something. Yeah. It doesn't have to be necessarily posted all over social media. In fact, that could be a detriment at times. So just having the right people know that if you need, I'm there. And that's all that matters.
Amazing. What is it about the Montreal Jewish community that pulled you in?
I was just speaking to a friend of mine. Some things happened over the last few weeks, and I'm like, that's the beautiful thing about the community. He goes, what? I'm like, one transfers over to the next. So if there's something one doesn't know and the other one knows, then you just pass it on. And then that person will pass it on to somebody else. And that's how the continuation happens. And that's really part of what being part of a community is. It's about uplifting and teaching and edifying everyone together. And it's about asking questions. That's what first drew me in, asking questions. I met a beautiful Chabad rabbi in Dawson, and I asked one too many questions. And I ended up here at the library, researching, reading.
The library here?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then we go back and, but in this it says X and that, and so he goes, but go look at this. And I'll be like, okay. And I run back, and then, so that's how it begins. But that's what, listen, I'm not Jewish. That's the first thing. And that's the first thing I tell my friends. I can only understand maybe 80, 90, 95%. There's always something I'll never get. The same way people won't necessarily understand what it is to be Italian until they're Italian.
Right.
And that's it. So it's a question of continuously understanding and growing and learning and asking questions and becoming more and more involved in a community that you want to see thrive and grow and support. Blanks. Do
you think that Montreal is unique in the way that we let people in or bring people in?
Well, look, the Montreal Jewish community, I think, is one of the strongest ones in the country. I've lived across the country, and Montreal definitely has its own flavor, and that's with all of its communities, but especially the Jewish community. And then if you want to break it down, Ashke Sephardic and all that, we can go into it. And then, anyways, yes, it's very different. It's very, because of the metropolitan aspect of Montreal, you need to be more integrated into a city. Mm-hmm. And integrated versus assimilated is a very big, there's a very big distinction. So one needs to be open to that fact. And that's what makes it beautiful. And it's not a community that will necessarily open up and be like, yeah, come in, It's more a question of understanding everyone has a place and everyone, not in a negative context, but everyone has a role to play. And yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
In one sentence.
Yes.
We do one sentence. What does the Jewish community in Montreal mean to you?
Well, it means friends, family, friends who've become family. Support, that's more than one sentence, but there's so many words, you can edit and pick one. There's a sense of belonging and reminding that we're here, but we need to get to the next step. There's constant growth and looking towards the future.
And so also, when you and I first got to know each other, when we met, I like I said, I thought you were Jewish. I was very surprised to find out that you were Italian, and I felt that sense of family with you. And others, how do we get others to be comfortable? Because I find that now everyone's not ashamed, but they don't want to speak up. That nobody wants to say anything. Nobody wants to.
Well, listen, we're not banging our drums saying, "I'm here, I'm Jewish, I'm proud," no. as everyone should. Like I was saying before, my family brought me up on respecting culture, period. So one needs to look at any group, community, as a culture, and we need to respect it, we need to love it. Any group that's suffering, any person, we need to remove that community thing. Any person that's suffering, for whatever reason that may be, needs love and support. It's really that simple. Politics aside, views aside, if somebody's hurt, now if you apply that to a broader spectrum of a community, if somebody's hurting, I'm very empathetic to that, and I like taking care of my friends, so I like to show support for where my friends need it, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Okay, good.
Do you have any advice or messages of encouragement for people who are afraid to speak up or who are afraid to be an ally to whether the Jewish community, any other community?
No, I don't think it's about bravery or fear. Yeah, there's been backlash, great and small, and nothing detrimental, but there's been backlash. Pick your battle. You can't fight the world. You need to live to fight another day, so you need to be able to own your beliefs, be entrenched in them. Sometimes your beliefs are not very popular with the status quo.
Right.
And you need to step up and say, no, I'm taking a stand, and this is where I stand. And those who know. And those who don't need to know.
Right.
And that's it. And anyone can come and partake in that. And it's literally about caring for humanity. Like the whole concept of tikkun olam and taking care of the world and making the world a better place is literally what allyship is all about at the end of the day. It's about making the world a better place.
We're all here for that.
And that's what we do.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing and talking and speaking with me about this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
It really means a lot.
Technical production by Daniel Moskowitz. Podcast reporter is Jordan Stupler. Hillary Cohn on social media.
I'm Samantha Mintz Vineberg.
And I'm Glenn J. Nashin, the producer of the Federation CJA 360 podcast.
Please like, follow, and subscribe. Recommend us to your friends and family so that they can find us too. Until next time, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening. To find out more about the work we do at Federation CJA, the impact we have on the Montreal Jewish community in Israel and around the world, visit us at federationcja.org, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Until next time, shalom.